Hello, Matthew. This lesson switches from parallelograms to rhombus, which has a couple more properties. But let's talk here. A rhombus is basically a parallelogram. So every property of a parallelogram will exist in a rhombus. Now, the only difference is, okay, with a rhombus, number one, you have to understand that by definition, all four sides are now congruent. Okay, so not only are opposite sides congruent, but you have to consider all four sides congruent. Now, same rules, opposite or properties, opposite angles are congruent. Adjacent angles, meaning the one arc and two arc, are supplementary. Okay, and now the only couple additional properties are is if I draw these diagonals in. Number one thing you have to understand, right, is that the diagonals are perpendicular to each other. Diagonals still bisect each other, right? So these are congruent, right? But they also bisect these opposite angles. So this angle would be congruent to this angle would be congruent to this angle would be congruent to this, and these angles would be congruent. So the properties are very similar, but you have to add in the fact that all four sides are congruent. The diagonals bisect the opposite angles, meaning they cut them in half. And then these diagonals are also perpendicular, giving you right angles at the center. So let's apply these properties to a couple of examples. So here, we know right away we have a rhombus. So the first thing I like to do when they're giving me sides is mark all of these sides congruent. And there's many different setups you can do here. What I basically see right away is if this side length is 15, all of these sides have a length of 15. So right away, when I want to find x, all I'm going to say is 5x is equal to 15. And when I divide by 5, x is equal to 3. To find y, I know 3y is equal to 15. So right away, I know y is equal to 5. Okay, so that's using the opposite sides are, or sorry, all four sides are congruent. Number two, here, MNPQ is a rhombus, and angle N is 120. Find the measure of the numbered angles. Well, the easiest one to find first is using the property opposite angles are congruent. I'm going to find angle Q because it's going to be 120. Now, here's the thing. Right here, that angle M, I'm going to do 180 minus 120 to get this entire angle is 60 degrees. But remember, angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. Therefore, if they add up to 60 degrees, the easiest way to find them is to take 60 divided by 2 to get angle 1 is 30, angle 2 is 30. And right away, if opposite angles are congruent, this whole angle is 60, which will make angle 3 30 and angle 4 30 degrees. Okay. Example 3. First thing I see right away, number 1, I know that all four of these angles are congruent. So if that's 78 degrees, I know angle 1 is 78 degrees, and I know angle 4 is 78 degrees. Even more important is angle 2 is going to be 90 degrees right away because these diagonals are perpendicular to each other. So how do I find angle 3? Well, if I use this triangle here, right away, what do all three of these angles in that yellow triangle have to add up to? 180. So angle 3 would be 180 minus that 90 degree angle minus that 78 degree angle, which would be 12 degrees. All right, so angle 1 is 78, angle 2 is 90, 3 is 12, 4 is 78. And the last example for a rhombus. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is label all of the information they give me. They tell me AB is 2x plus 12. Then they tell me BD is 3x plus 8. CB is 3y plus 5, right? And then CE, and I'm going to highlight this whole segment here. CE, that segment there, is 34. Then they tell me ABC, angle ABC, this angle here is 8m plus 34. Now, X is the easiest one because if you look, right away you have to know the diagonals bisect each other. So what do we know about those two segments? They are going to be congruent. So 2x plus 12 is equal to 3x plus 8. When I solve this, subtract 3x, variables on the left, subtract 12, constants on the right. Negative x equals negative 4. So right away we get x is 4. Now to find y, what you have to understand is if this whole green highlighted segment is 34, and I know that the diagonal is bisected, I know this piece is 17, and I know this piece is 17, because if I take 34 divided by 2, you get 17. So to find y, it's going to be 3y plus 5 is equal to 17. Now I can go ahead and solve for y. Subtract the 5, 3y equals 12, divide by 3, y is equal to 4. Now how do I find m? Well, if m is this angle here, right away if I mark diagonals perpendicular to each other, I know that that angle ABC, this angle is going to be 90 degrees. So I know 8m plus 34 is equal to 90. When I go and solve for m, 8m equals 56 and m equals 7. So when you're working on the rhombus homework assignment, you need to make sure you have the properties of the rhombus in front of you. All right, get busy on your homework, and if you have any questions, let me know.